Welcome to the Word for 2021. Today we're in Judges chapter 10. In chapter 9, Abimelech has died. Now here in this chapter, God has raised up at the beginning of the chapter two more judges, two more leaders that led Israel for 45 years. But then in verse 6, we read that word that we hate to see here in the book of Judges. Again, Israel did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Again, they went through the cycle one more time. As we look through the book of Judges, what did they do? They went back to serving the Baals and the Asherahs. Here in verse 6, they served the gods of Aram and Sidon. They served the gods of Moab, of the Amorites, and of the Philistines. Now, why the cycle? Why did they continue on in this cycle of sin and suffering, praying for deliverance, and then God giving them a deliverer? I believe the answer comes in two parts. The first reason was that they played with and they tolerated sin. Whenever we think that we can handle sin, whenever we think that we can control sin, we are in the danger zone, just as they were. It's a slippery slope. It's just like the Australian pitcher plant. Now, the pitcher plant is a carnivorous plant because it eats meat. It's just like the Venus flytrap. Now, the Australian pitcher plant, this is how it works. It has a sweet nectar that lures insects. And then, around the opening of the plant, there is a white collar. And in this white collar, there is a slippery, heavy-baited nectar. Now, insects are drawn because of that sweet nectar. They try to just simply stay on the edge of the plant and get that nectar, but inevitably, they slip and they fall into the acids and the enzymes below, which dissolve the insect. Now, the pitcher plant then reabsorbs that nutrient-rich fluid. To an insect, at the beginning, the pitcher plant, it looks good. It smells good. It tastes good. But in the end, it traps and kills its prey. Satan tricks us the exact same way. When we look at sin, when we're tempted by sin, we might start off thinking that, well, we can maneuver just around the edge of sin, that we can stay out of trouble. But the truth is that we are not in control, that we cannot stop anytime that we think that we can. We think that we can handle it, but in reality, sin will take over. For sin and temptation is designed first to lure us close. Then we will slip up, and when we do, we will slip right into disaster. We are caught and we become a slave to sin. Israel, they never got rid of the sin that was all around them and within their midst. That was the first reason why they continued in this cycle. God even warned them over and over, this is what was going to happen if they left sin there in their midst. I believe the second reason that they were in this cycle was that they did not have a serious relationship with God. Now, over and over again, we see that God had compassion upon them. God was long-suffering. He showed His grace to them time after time after time. God loved His people. The people understood that they had sinned, but it wasn't until verse 16 where they got serious. They got rid of the foreign gods among them, and then they turned to God that deliverance came. You know, there's 18 inches between the head and the heart. Now, in the head, they first said, we have sinned. But it wasn't until their heart was engaged that they were willing to get rid of the sin that they had among them, willing to get rid of all of those foreign gods. The longest distance to change is always just 18 inches from the head to the heart. For real life change to take place, the heart has to be involved. Thank you for joining the Word for 2021.